Margaret in Windsor. I just put a tape up about Roosevelt and his standing up, and he'd have to be able to walk a little. If you saw the photo, it's not a lot. But it's only the second photo allowed to be taken of him or published. Maybe there was more and they just weren't published. Secret Service, again, wouldn't allow it. He was always in a wheelchair. Now, I was flown out to Larry Flint's in '83, October, and I had written about mind control murders and the use of mind control to modify behavior, and the agencies or whoever's using it, the technology to do it can modify your kid's behavior, and believe me, that's been going on for a long time, but nobody wanted to hear it. Now you can even Google, YouTube, a lot of places to find out about mind control. They won't tell you about the patterns that the ones I've told you about have been done in. The Virginia Tech next door to me here in '07, April of '07, the Columbine, etc., etc. Now then, back to the Roosevelt. He helped kidnap me, and I've got his photo meeting with my Uncle George, the illegal monarch who stole it from my father and helped kidnap me. My father's King Edward VIII. He was married to Wallace, not married, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. If you could understand a bit of what I'm going through, and I'm 75 years old, by the way, sitting here, developed shingles because I've been force-fed chemicals where I've lived, and I'm waiting to get booted out of here. For that reason, they're supposed to give me a letter, and that's the reason. They won't allow me to use, to do it myself, or to let them use non-allergenic. So anyway, I'll lose what few things I have. They'll end up in the garbage if I can get them out there. But my point was to get this across. When I wrote the book in '77, well, '76, '77, maybe if I slow down I won't make the errors. But I wrote the book back then, and Larry Flint was shot. I was in Marietta, Georgia. He was shot in Lawrenceville. And later I was flown out to his home. It was in Bel Air then, and he's in a wheelchair. And his attorney was killed, and the person that shot him was programmed. So I'm getting away a bit from what I was going to say. When I had antifreeze put in me April the 1st of '80, and I thought it was because of the book I'd just written, and I had a letter from the FBI and ongoing investigation, national security involved. Can you imagine if all this were told, how it changed history, what they did to my father, the illegal takedown, kidnapping a monarch, me, Victoria II, and then installing your own monarch, which was George, the illegal sixth, and Elizabeth. And they signed illegal treaties allowing the United States to put the military all over British soil. Now that I'm talking from memory, so I don't have it written down or edited or anything. But when the antifreeze was put in me, and in essence, I made the statement, in the condition I was in, I was supposed to have gone in a coma and died. Instead, I was carried across the state line by the very woman who I was given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers. Forgive me if I'm duplicating this, but I was brought there in '41 when I was kidnapped and given the name of Peggy, and I'll say that again, Dempsey Childers, a twin. I married a Childers. Now then, those twins were murdered. They were born out of wedlock, and their mother, Lina, killed them, and it was a cover-up there. But I have to assume that the way they brought me in was there at the Cortland Air Base. It was built during the war, and it's still in progress probably at that time. Now that I know that Joe Kennedy was part of my kidnapping, my own uncle, Roosevelt, the New World Order, the Jews, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, just look at what history, how it changed after they took down my father and kidnapped me. Uh, so the Kennedys helped in it, and I'm getting away from what I was going to say. The one thing is, when I did the book and got the letter from the FBI in '79, I was living at Laurelwood Apartments, and later, a few months later, I had the antifreeze put in me. So I can't get into all the details other than it's too much to put on the tape, and I keep redoing tapes and giving backup to try to support so you know what I'm talking about. But Laurelwood, the manager, told me that her uncle had been in charge of the Patty Hearst investigation. Now, Patty Hearst, her father, you get into it, if you want to call them New World Order, Mafia, or whatever, her father was in on my kidnapping, and remember, he owned Hearst News and lots of money. All these people did. And I was told in Lexington, Kentucky, back in '85, and I'm not going to give specifics. He was a decent sheriff. He told me when he helped me, he did help me out of the situation I was in there. One of the people I grew up with, I thought was an aunt, even confessed to it then, the kidnapping and cover-up. But anyway, he told me, he says, there's people right here in Lexington that would like to see you dead. So back to Laurelwood and Patty Hearst. Well, Hearst, everybody knows that Patty Hearst, there was brainwashing and all that going on now. But I've been talking about mind control that's done in a different way than that was done. Well, at least part of it was done. That's by teaching you the Morse code without you knowing it at a level of hearing that you're not aware of. And if you tried to tell a psychiatrist or anyone today who knows all this, if they don't know the difference in mind control and mental illness, they should get out of the business. And that's what's going on with all these mass murders that's using mind control, and that's hard to prove who used it and all that. But it's mind control. It's a murder weapon. It has nothing to do with mental illness, and mental illness is being blamed for it. But back to Patty Hearst. That's when all this happened to me. I got the letter from just that part. Let me rephrase that. That the FBI letter came. Obviously I couldn't get the book published. I even sent it to Hearst Publishing. Oh, wow. And not knowing at the time about my kidnapping, I found out about that in '83 during the political campaign. I was a candidate and flown out to Larry Flint's. But back to Laurelwood. I'd gotten a letter from the FBI, and the manager there was telling me about her uncle was in charge of the Patty Hearst kidnapping. So you get the letter from the FBI, am I doing the book? She's telling me that about Patty Hearst, and then I have antifreeze put in me April the 1st of '80. So my question here to everybody to think about it, would you, Patty Hearst was made to appear that she liked her kidnappers. She's brainwashed. Now then, you apply what's been done to me. No, I don't like my kidnappers. I hate their guts, and I hope that there's a justice in front of the whole world, and they have to pay for their crimes. And again, since everybody brings God into this, wouldn't it be nice if he came down and settled it all? Because believe me, he's the only one that can. And this is me, what's left of me. I don't know where my sons are, the heirs to the British crown, because they've kidnapped and done everything to them.